Wellness and self-care are more important than ever. And while we can't be traveling tourists at this point in time, we can prepare for future exotic journeys filled with tranquility, healing, and transformation. A diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant for the travel industry, our guest is here to inspire us to a deeper level of well-being and inclusivity. Hey, it's Female Founder Friday on the Startup Life Show. Woohoo! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Life Show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, startup coach for first-time founders. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now help newly minted business owners sleep through the night by giving them peace of mind. Because, hey, a new business, it doesn't come with instructions, right? Can you see yourself, unfolding that direction and going, okay, part A, where are the other people? No, it doesn't happen with a business. You have to figure it out. Even if you've had several other businesses, you have to figure those things out along the way. For those of you watching live or watching the replay, thank you for investing in you and your business today. And be sure to click, you replay viewers, on the subscribe button. Thank you so much. I'm excited to introduce you to our guest, Jackie Roby, a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant for the travel industry. Jackie is the Chief Operating Officer. No, she's not just an operating officer. She's a Chief Excellence Officer. I love that title at Inspired Journey Consulting, a Boston-based business dedicated to wellness, healing, inclusive, and transformational tourism. Jackie provides strategic sales solutions and training for travel professionals and well-being tourism businesses. And with over 19 years of sales experience in the travel and hospitality space, Jackie worked at Travel Leaders Group in the hotel division, overseeing relationships with luxury, lifestyle, and boutique hotels. Jackie launched this beautiful business that you're looking at the logo right now, Inspired Journey Consulting, to help support wellness tourism with the belief that these experiences are a recipe for healing, awareness, empathy, love, and inclusion. What's not to love about that? Oh my gosh, I want to go traveling and touring with you, Jackie Roby. Welcome to the Startup Life Show.
Hello. Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
I am so grateful for your being here as well. Share with folks where you're hailing from.
Absolutely. I'm hailing from Boston.
She's a neighbor. Yay! I'm from Boston too. Those of you tuning in live, please share where you're hailing from as well. I'm wondering, especially you world global traveler, you, Anna Pereira. Anna is the founder of the Wellness Universe. So go visit the Wellness Universe, folks. Anybody who's in healing and other inspired transformational services for the world, go check it out. Anna is usually traveling somewhere. I can't wait to hear where, Anna. And hi, Diane. I know you're over there in Seattle with your beautiful business photo pad. Again, everybody, Startup Life, it's all about supporting other businesses, right? So get out there and say where you're from and what business you're in, so we can put you up on the screen and share. You know, Jackie, we don't get to go to any in-person networking events. It's been 7-8 months, right, since we've been able to show up in person. I love for folks to attend, and I encourage folks to attend live events, share their LinkedIn URLs, and let people know how they could collaborate and connect and use this as an opportunity. What are your thoughts?
I think that's beautiful. I mean, honestly, one of my entire goals and what I do is to really help lift each other up. And I think you really see that as business owners, as entrepreneurs, is it can feel really lonely, but you find a community and you help.
That's right. And boy, that is one of the key ingredients, folks, for staying grounded, is finding peers who are also founders, who are going through this, so that you can find that extra connection, and someone going, oh boy, do I know what it's like to be up at 2 a.m. Or, oh, hey, here's how I figured that out. Maybe it would help you with your business. So I love it. Okay, Anne, I just have to let everybody know where, yes, here in New Jersey, back to Portugal next week. Aw, love the world traveling. So Jackie, here you are, you're a founder now. I love finding out what inspired, in your case, inspired you to launch a business, to leave payroll behind, and to take that leap of serving the world more fully expressed as a founder.
Well, I think the universe pushed me in this direction. So I didn't expect to do it on my own. I always thought I'd have a partner with me. I would, have a friend, a colleague, somebody to go out and venture with. But as my path kind of took different turns, I found it disconnecting from someone else's vision. And I realized I just need to follow my own. So as I was in my corporate job, which was really extraordinary, and it was the dream, it was where I wanted to be. And I was finding myself I was supporting hotels. I was supporting travel advisors. I was working in the wellness travel space. All of this was so beautiful, but I saw more that I could do. And I wanted to help in ways that I couldn't when I was there. Right. So I made the decision one day when I had an end of my rope moment, to be honest. Went into the room and had just gotten off the phone with the co-founder of Healing Hotels of the World, who gave me this beautiful meditation and visualization practice and things to do to kind of get me over this next, emotional hump of where I was. And I thought, wow, what a leader. And I had a moment of saying, you need to step through your fear. It's time. And I told my husband, I want to quit and start my own company. And he said, great. And he said, all right, this is how you set it up and this is what you do. I said, no. I want to put in my notice in a couple of days. He said, even better. And we just.
That is, and can you say the name of that hotel again?
Oh yeah. Healing Hotels of the World.
Never heard of that. Have you ever heard of that, Anna Pereira? Healing Hotels of the World? Can you just tell me a little bit? I'm sorry, curious minds. It's a segue. I know. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So I hadn't heard of them either. And this killed me because at the time I had 17 years in the industry and I'd never heard of Healing Hotels. And I was introduced to them when I was overseeing a luxury wellness program. And I went to their summit and I felt changed. The properties under their collection are really dedicated, not just to wellness, but to actual healing, whether it's physical, spiritual, emotional, what have you. They work to have you leave being a better, more whole self.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So thank you for that. And, I obviously through your journey, through your wellness and transformational experiences, this became important to you to collaborate with places that help folks. So it's not like, Club Med where you're going to be competing and hanging out and drinking espressos and whatever all day. It is about getting out of the cycle of life, right? Mm-hmm. And pursuing more inner journey work.
Yes.
So how did you make that transition? You gave your notice and then you said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Well, everybody, of course, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Are we ready? It's the prove that value prop moment. So as founders, we say, this is how we want to serve the world. Mm-hmm. Yay. But how are you going to get customers? How are you going to get them to switch what they're using it into your thread? How are you going to differentiate? What was that journey like for you, Jackie?
Sure. So I thought I want to do something that's different. Right? I want to be a bit of a disruptor. And I looked to make connections. So I was already connected with travel advisors. I was connected with suppliers, but I needed to get connected to travelers. And that for me was really a missing link. So I knew that as I was growing this business, that was going to be part of my voice, was voicing the value. Speaking to travelers and then connecting them in those right spaces to advisors, because I don't book travel. I like my sleep. And I say, hashtag trust the travel experts. They are extraordinary at what they do. And I like to refer. So I thought about that in the first place as I was building. And then one thing that's really well known in the travel industry are representation companies, where you have a hotel that you contract with, it's usually a little smaller, and then you represent them in a sales fashion. That was something I knew I didn't want to do, actually. Part of me, I wanted to be their voice. I wanted to, talk about them because I thought they were amazing. But more than anything, I want to help in the strategy sense, because people just sometimes need that outside perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Because they have it inside. I mean, there are people who are managing marketing for that boutique or, particular establishment, but you, and that's your awesome sauce. That's your differentiating factor.
Exactly.
19 years in sales. And I have to tell you, folks, that's a wonderful advantage to have as a founder, to understand the sales cycle, the customer journey. So you started to approach these, I guess, establishments that you decided that you wanted to work with, and ask them how you could help them create more exposure. Oh, share. I want to know more.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of it actually was born out of them coming to me. So like I said, the universe works in mysterious ways. So they came to me first. And I was fortunate enough to work very closely with the Retreat Costa Rica. Absolutely an extraordinary 13-room boutique property in Alajuela, in the mountains of Atenas. Phenomenal. So, that was kind of a piece. And healing hotels for me was a passion, because, again, I saw these properties and said, this is who I want to work with. So I reached out to them individually, spoke to them. We've got things that we're curating in terms of tutorials for travel advisors to really give that scope of sales for wellness, because you can just stamp wellness on something and call it a day, but that's not what it really is.
Yeah.
So, I have no fear when it comes to approaching someone, because
I love that.
if it's not them, then it wasn't meant to be.
Okay. And so you figured out who your target audience was going to be, wellness and transformational. And the first one came to you. Hello, that's a beautiful magnet opportunity. But now you got your feet wet. You understood what the process was, how you added value. How did you know what to charge, Jackie? I mean, pricing is always the hardest part for anybody, especially a service industry company.
Yeah. So because of, honestly, my years of selling on both sides of the coin, so selling as a hotelier and also overseeing hotel marketing programs as well as marketing offers, I had a strong understanding of what budgets look like based on size of hotel, type of hotel, how many hotels in a collection. You can even get the feel just on a conversation, understanding where decisions are being made, and you hear a little bit in the voice, right? So that for me was an easy way to create a model. And also just, calls around getting understanding of what other people were doing, even though no one's actually doing this. So
I know. And for a lot, especially in the service industry, we were talking about this with Sylvester earlier in the week, and I've had this conversation with many founders. It's the value, is finding out, being, not making yourself so cheap. Okay. Really understanding that you're bringing your lived experience, you're really bringing a lot of value to the table, and knowing what to charge. Product companies, it's different. You know what it's going to cost you to make the product. You know what your margins need to be for you to have a nice, sustainable, profitable business. But when it's service, it's really different. And I love that you did a lot of research on that and were able to get really comfortable. I just want to say hi to David here. He's founder of Where to Wheel. Help the mobility challenged find accessible venues in Boston and beyond, in Braintree near Boston. I have met David many, many times. Inspirational man, making it better and more. You talk about inclusivity, those who are, in his case, wheel bound due to an accident many years ago. He has opened doors and created so much value and inclusivity in just being able to show up in buildings and restaurants and have as normal a life as possible. Thank you, David.
thank you for all you do, David.
Yeah. Hi. Oh, he's just a tremendous, and I miss seeing you, David. I just want to say it, at the live events around town. And love the journey. Yes, we want to be disruptors. And of course, Diane, she was a social worker, Jackie, before she became a tech female founder. So, never let not having the skill sets stop you from pursuing your dream. And so talk a little bit more about that journey of figuring out how you wanted to, how did you come up with the name Inspired Journey Consulting? Because that could be a Reiki healer's name for a company. That could be, how did you come up with that name, and how are you branding it?
Sure. So it actually came from working with a coach. So I had worked with a life coach that I met at the Healing Summit. And one of the things that we worked on was around the 5 elements, and the fire was one that for me at that time was lacking. And that fire was your inspiration. Yes. And I kept saying over and over again, I just want to be inspired. Right. And I thought, oh, this
perfect. Perfect. And founders, look how easy it is to brand something that when you are feeling it in your heart, you can add any tagline, but you got to be really into the name and into the fact that she is serving those who want to create an inspired journey experience and connecting them with the folks who are seeking an inspired journey. And, if you're going to travel, it can't just be about tossing back the margaritas, although there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely not. Life is about balance.
It's about balance. And so every founder has to figure out how they're going to fund their business. And that's, an important part of the journey of a founder is, let's see, am I going to dip into the 401k? Am I going to raise some money? A lot of it depends. If you're doing hard assets, if you're creating a huge facility, you're going to be having to go out to get some venture capital. But perhaps sometimes you can bootstrap. MailChimp, Jackie, bootstrapped to this day. Can you believe that? So they used their customers. They got people on board and used that to put it back into the business. How has your funding journey been?
Well, I would say I relate to bootstrapped, although for me personally, I would call it sashaying on my stilettos. The funding is myself and my wonderful husband, which I've got to say that's probably the hardest thing to admit and the proudest thing to admit. I'm so grateful for him, but being able to trust in that way was a big deal. But I made sure that I had savings. I hustled, and cut back on my nails.
The goddess treatments had to, be downsized for a minute.
A little bit, just a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, but I'm going to be using that sashaying on my stilettos because bootstrapping, that has a lot of male energy to it, which we love. But come on, let's bring the feminine energy. Right, Anna? Sashaying in our stilettos. I can see And Diane, I know Diane wears red shoes. Like, you should see her shoe collection. They're amazing. It's amazing. So, and Jackie, this is what's really important because your business needs oxygen. But if you're in partnership, if you have a beloved in your life, these conversations are very important to have. Hi, honey, I'm going to need at least 18 to 24 months runway. And I don't know if this is going to work. There's no guarantee, but I really love that you are supporting this dream. And I want you to partner with me on this. And founders, there are folks in relationships that the other person is the opposite of entrepreneurship. It frightens them. And so when your beloved is not part of that mindset for entrepreneurship, be sure to talk about the money you're going to need, get really clear, do your projections, and say, this is what I want to earmark. Now, ideally, I'm going to have money coming in and I can put it back into savings or pay off that credit card. But we have to be open to the fact that at the end of 2 years, I could have lost 50, 100,000, 250,000. Are we all on board? And if they're not, then you continue the conversation, right, Jackie?
Absolutely. And I would say, for me, I'm the epitome of independent woman. I have not relied on anyone for money since I was 18. And, parents included, nobody. This was me doing it on my own. And so saying to him that sometimes like, oh, I could really use a little help here. That's difficult for me. And he's wonderful about giving, but it's difficult. So that's something that's definitely been part of my own growing process and journey as a founder. And then one thing that I would say that we do is, we have the realistic conversation around money. And we say it with just pure trust and knowledge that this is working.
Right.
It's working today. It's working tomorrow. We're dreaming of the private jet. We've got the picture of like what's coming to come. We set our visualization and it is coming.
Yeah. And the visualization, folks, remember Nikhil was on a few weeks ago. This is a artificial intelligence, machine learning, telemedicine founder. Okay. Strong background in algorithms, but he did a lot of studying in neuroscience. And he said he starts every day with his visualization for his business. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, surrounds himself with really smart people to help execute. But that's really important. And I love that. We all need our rituals, folks, to help us sustain the high level of uncertainty with businesses. And so you have to do the mindset hacks. And of course, we talk about that in every show, the different mindset hacks that we need to put into place to help us through. You don't know the outcome. There's just absolutely no guarantee, but that possibility is what, and I like to, remind folks, Jackie, that if not this business, the next one, because you're meant to be a founder. And you got another idea lined up. But for you, this also feels like a lifestyle business as well. You talked about, I didn't want to do it at the travel agency because I wanted to sleep. Talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about what lifestyle business and what that means to you and how you flow.
Sure. So I realized many years ago what doesn't serve me. And I was an award-winning salesperson, a great people pleaser, and was 24/7. And that didn't serve me. It did at the time, but for a long-term solution, I needed balance. So for me, a life that I'm looking for, this type of journey, has more, I'm not going to say solid hours, but I know when I need to take care of my mental and physical health.
There's a flow. As you become more aware of who you be, you become more aware of what happiness looks like for you. And folks, if you're following Gary Vee, this is something he talks about all the time. Happiness may be a business that brings you 80, 100K a year. Nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing. Know who you are, how you want to flow in life. If global domination is really turning you on and you need that 24/7 and that works for you, beautiful. And I think too, Jackie, what you brought up is that there's a flow to hustle. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, there are days, like you talked about those 2 a.m. mornings, and I find them so familiar. I started to lean into them and I'm like, all right, now let's get up and do some stuff. And if I sleep a little later, I sleep a little later.
Right.
But I see that as all part of it. I see the balance as part of happiness. And I think that you can be incredibly successful, both just in your overall joy and your financial abundance with a balanced life.
Right.
Because that's what's going to make a difference at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of mythology around entrepreneurship being a certain way. And I just, you got to create what's going to work for you. And if you're looking at scaling internationally in a way that you're going to need a team, be sure to bring on team members who can really carry the weight and more so that you can, as a founder, have that balance. It's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about your passion, your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially in the travel industry. Talk a little bit about what you've seen over your 20 years in the industry, where things weren't diverse or equitable or inclusive, and how did you become this champion and advocate for and have this as a core value to your business?
I would say, gosh, there's so many things. So one of the things that the travel industry does really well is hire diversely, right? So when you look, you say, oh my goodness, there's, a rainbow of people and types of people and different abilities and different backgrounds. However, the inclusivity and the equity piece are missing. And I saw this from personal experience. I saw this just as a witness to talent going unnoticed, and seeing the common thread. Because so many times what we don't recognize is that systemic racism is very subtle and seems very quiet, but then you start to connect the dots and you see a pattern. Myself, I'm a Latina. My mom is white, and I was raised as white. You're white, Jackie. You're white. So for a long time, I didn't actually know any different. So it took me a while to even understand a little more about me, which I'm still unraveling. Yeah. I cannot fathom seeing someone who's extraordinary be kept down.
Yeah. And so that's where you saw plenty of the diverse hiring. As you said, it was a rainbow, but it was the equity. Were people having the same opportunities? Is that what you mean?
Absolutely.
Equity and the same promotion up the ladder to more senior positions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Definitely. And then if you don't see them at senior levels, maybe you're, or if you do, are they getting to the C-suite? Probably not.
No. And then share what inclusivity means.
Inclusivity?
Yeah.
It means it means everyone's voice is heard, right? They're asked, you care, it's taken into consideration.
And they're not interrupted?
Exactly.
When they speak, women.
And speaking. There's a really great show on FX, Mrs. America.
Yes.
Okay. So I think it's the second to last episode. There's this scene in the hotel room with Gloria Steinem asking everybody from their perspective if what they were talking about works for them.
Right.
That is the definition of inclusivity.
I love that. I went to an all-women's MBA program. And this program was founded by 2 Harvard Business School professors who got tired of seeing women getting cut off all the time. And so I got to tell you, I believe in single gender education for that reason, because we didn't get caught up in any semantics. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I got you, sister. We were all on the same page instead of having, understandably, male, female, different, but nobody was cut off unless it was like a view moment with all the yabbering. That's so very important. Perspective and voices need to be heard in both ways too. So we need to be able to come out and feel safe enough, right, Jackie, to bring our voice to the plate. Mm-hmm. And that's the role of ownership and management in the other side of the table, to just help make that happen. And so is that part of the awareness and training and consciousness raising that you do in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I do in terms of DEI consulting is spend time with not just leadership, but also with key team members. So I would want to talk to leaders of each department, but also, employees at each department, to really get an understanding of what that culture looks like. I look through the suppliers that you work with or vendors that you work with, as well as any policies, internal policies, if the organization's big enough, and sales and marketing efforts, right?
So yeah, so this could be that boutique hotel, mm-hmm. That's bringing people to the island or to their location in the mountains, whatever, who's dropping the ball. And you're able to not only say, hey, I can offer these services in creating greater brand awareness and increasing sales for you, but I can also make sure that you are, because if you're going to be a transformational, tourist location and destination, you best be walking your talk, right?
Exactly.
How do you start that conversation with them, Jackie?
So I ask the uncomfortable questions in an approachable way. So much of this work is about meeting people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a little push. And what's interesting with wellness is wellness is kind of similar, right? So people are going to be on this journey and they've got to figure out whether or not they're joining and how far they want to take it. And so, creating inclusivity is like cultural wellness.
Yeah. And so please give me an example though, because other people I know and watching this would like to have this conversation too. Yeah. Maybe they're working with a vendor or maybe they're working with a client and they may not be an expert, but they may want to have that difficult conversation, that awkward question. Can you give me an example?
Sure. So I would say I want to find out a little bit about how the person learns, right? And relates. Are they reading books, reading articles, going online, listening to podcasts? Perhaps, they have kids and have children's books they're reading all day, right? I'd want to introduce them to something that's outside of their norm and then have a conversation around it. And then find out, are you having these conversations already? And if not, why? Does it make you uncomfortable? And it's okay if it does, but why do you think that is? Right? So even just the small act of starting that piece gets you to think a little bit differently.
Yeah, I love that. And folks, Jackie asked the best question or made the best statement, which is start where they are. And just like on a wellness journey, for any of you out there, from massage therapists to healers, however you're serving the world in that way, you know that someone's coming to you with a certain level of awareness. And they're going to start peeling back that onion or the lotus flower, and they're going to go deeper into their wellness and who they be in the world. And these are the same conversations we need to have in our understanding, with people. And I'm glad you're there to do that. I'm glad that you're uniquely qualified to do that as a founder, which I think is what makes you very special for your business, for this incredible customer segment that you're serving. I think that, the fact that you're bringing not only your ability to increase the sales and awareness and brand and all of that for the company, but also make them holistic within by having a strong DEI awareness and platform and culture within their business. I mean, so, and when you're out in the world networking and talking to people, do you bring this level of inclusivity into your conversations with folks? When you're having Zoom calls with people, how do you, continue to do that? And because I know you're out there glowing all over the place. How do you do that with folks in helping raise their consciousness?
Sure. I speak to it in relatable ways, as well as bringing in facts. I question things. So if I have a client we're looking at their marketing and they probably didn't ask me about the DEI space, I still say, let's look at the representation here.
Yeah.
So I would recommend bringing in models with different cultural backgrounds, bringing in a Black model.
Right.
Bringing in an Asian model.
Perfect. Love that, something fierce. So you now have a service-based industry with a model, a business model of, meeting all these folks and understanding what their needs are to increase sales, et cetera. Where do you see your business going over the next 18 months? But before I go down that pathway with you, how has COVID-19 affected you? Because when did you launch your business, Jackie?
It'll be a year tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Wow. Birthday business, October 10, 10/10. Ta-da! Was that on purpose?
No.
Okay, I was just checking. Some of us are into numbers. What can I tell you? But congratulations on that. So you got off to a great start and everything came to a screeching halt. What happened? How have you been managing all of that?
Yeah. So, one of the biggest changes I would say was that I had in-person experiential workshops planned for travel advisors. I had about 4 that were planned. And so that was scrapped. When this happened, though, my internal optimism just really helped me because I was able to say, okay, that's cool. I'm growing. I'm still doing things. I'm setting things up. This is fine. And I just continue to show up every day. And honestly, I feel like I've been able to be incredibly creative. I like the opportunity to slow down. I'm glad that I get to connect with people more often and they have a little bit of time to connect. Now, my heart hurts for travel and for the world right now. And I know it's coming around. Yeah. So, another piece for me has also been using my voice to help those businesses that are still open, because there are travel businesses that are staying open and hotels that are trying to stay open. And I trust what they're doing. So I've worked with properties to do that too.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with hovering if you can afford to hover right now. Again, everybody's in different circumstances. And I had one business wiped out completely because of circumstances out of my control. And it was a food manufacturing business, and 2 of my primary ingredients got wiped out. Lost my margin, and then I got the facilities that I was using got hit by lightning. So, life happens. And so I understand what it's like when you are just cooking along and you are out of the blue wiped out with your business. So I just want to take this moment, Jackie, and I know you join me in this, in telling founders, it's okay to let it go and it's okay to try again. And you're going to be more prepared. You're going to launch another business, or maybe if you have a restaurant that you had to just shut down, or a practice that you had to shut down, you can come back. And to use this not as a moment to feel resentment and bitterness and failure, but to understand every business has a cycle. And they don't talk about this, Jackie, in startup life world, entrepreneurship online. I never hear anybody talk about this, but boy, do they talk about it in graduate school when you're getting your MBA, which are the circumstances that will wipe you out. And to understand what they are, and to look at that and say, okay, I understand. You have to understand the risks and not to take it personally. Sometimes doesn't matter how hard you work, you're not going to be able to fix that problem. But if you can hover and go deeper into awareness and build your founder skill set up and say, okay, it's a little quiet now. What can I work on? What can I start planting in the landscape, right? That I can then put the seeds in, water them, get them ready, so that when we get on the other side of this pandemic, and we will get on the other side of this pandemic, how can I now hit the ground running? So there's a level of optimism as well as practicalism that you combine, which,
Absolutely. And I would say, another thing is, as a veteran salesperson, I recognize that the sales cycle, specifically in the travel industry, it isn't, right now I'm just going to book something, not for the people behind the scenes that are selling. So it's about building relationships and establishing trust. So for me, you never stop selling, because you're out there just being present and being with people and caring.
Yeah. Oh, love that. And here's the gentleman that introduced us, Mr. Eric Cox, founder of Media Prepared. So when you need to have that moment in front of the camera, you are ready. That's what Eric does for you. He's amazing. And thank you for those lovely words, Eric. Talented boss ladies. Yes, we are. But your point is really well taken, that to take the times that are quiet right about now and to just say, okay, where can I build relationships, collaborations? Again, go to live events like this to see who's in the threads and start talking to them and make connections that way. I also want to say that Diane, I love that you launched your app on 10-10-10. That is so, so cool.
Awesome.
Love it.
Soul
Love
sister.
Yeah, exactly. Little numbers there. And just a quick shout out to this person on YouTube. I can refer you to some folks, product video. I have a great guy who can do explainer videos, etc. for you. So send me an email, Ande@andelyons.com. I will refer you to someone. It's very affordable. He is amazing and a real stand-up human being too, who's serving the world in many wonderful ways. So yay. So here you are. I mean, you're newly minted as a founder. You've been at this a year, but I am sure even just getting ready to set it up, that moment when you left payroll behind, you have had founder doubt. And again, this is a really important part of the Startup Life Show, founder journey advice. We are all in this together, folks. And sometimes you hear another person's perspective, and maybe you've heard it dozens of times before, but when it came out of their lips, you were like, oh, aha. Or as we say here in Boston area, dawn broke over Marblehead. And and so, Jackie, I know there have been moments that you've had when you're like, I don't know, maybe I should, COVID-19, maybe I should, and because you are such an aware woman and you're into wellness and into finding resources that will help you be in the world. And that's a capital B and a capital E, folks, not just who you are, but who you be. What has worked for you when you have felt those moments like, I don't know?
Yeah, I had that moment last week.
There we go.
So here we are. So I honor my emotions, right? And for me, it manifests in anxiety. And I say, okay, I understand this is happening. I know that it's temporary. So first I journal. I need to figure out what that root is, because 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with what you're actually doing that day. It's just something that you're telling yourself, right? And where is that messaging coming from, and reversing that into a positive. And actually, if you write down the positive opposite, that's always a great one. I go back to my vision exercises. My husband actually did this with me last week, which was amazing. In the midst of a panic, he said, "Can you still see our home?" And I said, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Close your eyes and describe it to me." And I did. And he was like, "See?" He's like, "That's going to happen, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And there I was. And it was really calming.
Yes.
I would say last thing really is know who your cheerleaders are. And I think one of the things that's been very interesting on this journey is that they're different than I would have expected. And so many of them are the founders that I've met. And they will help to really, again, lift you up, raise each other, support each other, and kill all that doubt that you have.
They hold the mirror up, folks. And this is why, mentorship is so important and why it matters, because to have a mentor or a coach who can hold the mirror up and say, this is what I'm seeing. Yeah. And in your moments of doubt. And I love that advice for anxiety. Anybody who lives with anxiety, I've got PTSD and anxiety. You have to get grounded in the moment, because anxiety is about concern for the future, right, Jackie?
Yeah.
And then by doing that visualization to bring, as Wayne Dyer would say, what's in the future into the present moment for your intention and for your motivation and for your why to keep going is so important. I love that. And I love that your husband walked you through it, guided you through it in such a beautiful way.
He's the most wonderful man in the world. I'm very grateful.
And a shout out to all of you that support me on my journey, waving to you right now, Diane, because I know you're in the live feed. And Eric, gosh, you have just become such a great champion and support. Absolutely. In my life as a founder has been very, very helpful. And, and you're going to love this woman's business, Jackie. Hi, Laura. Knowing who your cheerleaders are is so important. Great point. You see her label right there, Jackie, in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Zazie, I'm probably saying it wrong, but what's really cool about this olive oil and this woman's business is she gets all her olive oil from female-owned farm owners in Turkey.
Okay.
So, that is supporting an industry that just gives me goosebumps every time I think about it,
That's beautiful.
right?
I'll be investing.
Connect with Jackie Laura, okay? She's on Nantucket, but she's really starting to expand and New England, and she's got, of course, people are buying the product around the world. And I just love what's behind that. Something fierce, because when you give you show a woman how to fish, she will take it. And we've seen it in so many other countries where we've helped women, right, in their ability to earn and create a viable business. It's just beautiful. Thank you, Laura, for doing that. So, how, now you're a year into this journey of entrepreneurship. How has it served you both personally and professionally? It's the best personal development program out there, right, founders? You tap into parts of yourself. You're like, what? I had no idea I could do that. Or, and certainly skill sets that you didn't know you had. How has it served you, Jackie?
I feel like Superwoman. I really do. I feel better, smarter, more focused, more in touch with my intuition, just on top of my game of the best that I've probably ever been is right now. So when I look at that, I actually never have a doubt of, should I have done this? Because there's no doubt there. I love everything about how it's been for me, personally, and then as a growth, professionally. And then in the market itself, I am in a position where I get to use my voice more. And that for me is everything.
Wow. Okay. Female founders, can you relate to that point right there? To really have more of a voice. Tia Lyles Williams was on the show in August, I think, end of July, and she is in bio life sciences, and she knew she could only go so far as a woman of color and a member of the LGBTQ community. She knew her voice was going to get capped. So that's what she did, launched her business. That's what you've done. I love that point about having more of a voice. How can we support you in your wonderful Inspired Journey consulting business, Jackie?
Well, thank you so much for asking. So you can follow me on social media. I know that you have my Instagram handle there. You can subscribe to receive my mailing, so it's on my website. And I'm always looking to speak. So if there's an opportunity to speak more and spread the word on, wellness and healing travel and cultural inclusion, I'm going to start calling it, I think, in the DEI space, I'm ready and there to help and support.
Excellent, excellent, folks. I'm just dropping Jackie's links into the live comment section right now, so you can hop onto her website, so you can link in with her. That is so important. For those of you watching the replay, I will have, let me just grab that. Here's the website. There we go. And I will have all of those links in the show description so that you can become part of this wonderful woman's circle. And of course, I know, Jackie, you'll be cheering on other founders as well as
100%.
they. And I just, I want to be on the mailing list just so I know who you're working with and what opportunities are out there, because to me, that's a vacation worth planning. I mean, I happen to love where I live. Every day here is magical for me, where I live, the home, everything. But to go away, I mean, Zion was the most amazing, magical experience I had. If I had had a wellness retreat there, that would have made it even better than the stay at the Marriott. So I'm excited to learn more about that. And I'm also very excited to see your work in the world and your voice in the world, especially for diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you.
Wherever we are walking in the world. Thank you so much for joining me. Any last words for folks as we start to sign off here?
Yeah. I would say take the time to honor your own journey, to take some deep breaths, look within, work on some stuff that might be uncomfortable, because you're going to come out of the other side way better. And when you're ready to travel, wellness and healing travel is waiting for you to help you along that journey.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much for joining me on the Startup Life Show. Founders, an amazing woman, right? I'm so grateful that Jackie joined me on the show today and shared her wonderful founder wisdom. And I'm so grateful that you tuned in live or via the replay. I'm genuinely grateful for your time, and I feel your delicious energy as well. I'm grateful for that. And that you took time out. You carved it out. You made a commitment to say, wow, I want to learn more. I want to get better at what I'm doing. And so if you have any questions for Jackie or for me, or you want to keep the conversation moving forward, leave a comment or shoot me an email and we will follow up with you. And for those of you who have stayed this long, wow, and you're watching the recording, I am super grateful and would really be honored if you were to click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And founders, you do not need to struggle alone. You heard what Jackie said about working with someone who really helped her. There's a way that we can work together. Maybe check out this list. I do pitch deck reviews, 2-hour strategy sessions, funding sessions, on-demand founder coaching, and I help women-owned businesses get that coveted We Bank certification. And that's what gets you into supplier diversity programs. And of course, you can always book a 15-minute free conversation with me. Just go to that link there, andelyons.as.me. And I'd love to learn more about you and your business and what's happening in your world and your startup life. And as you continue through the week, please know that you need to stay focused. You need to stay strong. Take that deep breath that Jackie talked about. Honor your journey. And remember, you've got this. Cheers, everyone. Mwah.